Yeah. Anyone there? Hello? Is there anyone online, please? Is there anyone online? I want us to start our chat. Yes, I can see some people are already there. Hello? We have a funny topic today, but very serious. Our topic today is domestic violence, a reason for broken homes, troubled children, street children, drug addicts, you may name the rest. And my question is, do you agree to this? If you do, then you have something to say on this topic. So please share the video so that we can start our chat. I just want a few more people to come online. Then we will start. I want a few people to come online, then we will start. Please share the video. Let other people come on board. Very important. Let us talk about domestic violence. Domestic violence, what it does to us as people, as couples, as families, and how it destroys our children. If you are there, please share the video. Yes, I see there are people online. You're welcome on board. Hey, I see my brother's wife there. All my good people are there on board. Please, I want us to talk about domestic violence. Domestic violence. This word is pronounced every day by many people. But yet, domestic violence has never stopped. So I want us to talk about domestic violence because the consequences of domestic violence are enormous. Domestic violence is dealing with us in the society, our families, couples, spoiling children and all whatnot. And I will say that there are some facts about domestic violence that I want us to look at today. Domestic violence, what are the key facts? The key facts about domestic violence, because domestic violence is intimate violence, violence that takes place within the confines of the house, violence within the family, violence in the home. That's the kind of thing we are talking about, domestic violence. Domestic violence is violence within the home, violence that takes place under the roof, violence within the family. Violence, in fact, it is like intimate partner violence. It takes place within the home. So I want us to see some key facts about domestic violence. The first fact is that most domestic violence incidences are never reported. They are never reported. Many people do not hear about domestic violence incidences. Sometimes because they occur within the homes, they may be occurring between parents and children, between the parents, between siblings, between families. Domestic violence remains within the confines of the home. And usually people get ashamed. People feel ashamed to report. So many people suffer from this. And in fact, 1 out of 4 women might have experienced domestic violence in a perpetual manner or often, and it is vice versa. Maybe 4 out of, in all, 4 women at least experience domestic violence, and at least 1 man will be experiencing domestic violence. So domestic violence, and you will not count the number of children who are victims, and because of that they experience domestic violence. And domestic violence is like a vicious cycle, because if you live within a family where domestic violence reigns, the day you get married, you carry it and import it into your home, whether you are the man or the woman. So domestic violence is a monster. The first fact is that most of the incidences are never reported. Domestic violence takes place within the confines of the home, and because of that, it is never reported. And since it is never reported, many people just get away with it, and they keep doing it. It keeps going on, and nobody talks about it. Most often, people fear to report because they don't want to spoil their family names. I have discussed with some women, and the women say, no, I want to protect my family name. Some women want to protect their positions. Some people are just simply ashamed. Most men want to maintain the fact that they are powerful. How can I tell people that a woman is beating me, So for that reason, many people are suffering from domestic violence. But at the same time, many people are quiet, silent about it, and it is hardly reported. It is hardly reported. Many people do not even know that their neighbors may be living in an abusive relationship, or in a family where domestic violence is a way of life. So many people suffer from this, but yet it is so silent. So this morning I want us to talk about it. The first fact, as I said earlier, is that it is not reported. It is underreported. People don't report. Sometimes you even know that domestic violence is going on in the next neighbor's house. It's difficult for you to report because you say, well, what is my own there? What will they say? They will say that, what concerns me there, That is what most of us do say. And then the second fact is that at least 4 women will experience domestic violence during their lifetime. At least 4 women, at least. And at least 1 man will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. Yes, my brother. Welcome on board. Thank you for watching. Please share the video and also comment. That's my brother Bobe Loyai. Thank you, my dear. Domestic violence has disentangled so many families. Thank you, Angel. I see you. And so at least 4 women will experience domestic violence in their lifetime, and at least 1 man or 2 will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. This is the truth. Whether we like it or not, whether we agree it or not, there is something that says that what goes on under the roof, you will not know. So domestic violence is a silent violence, it's a silent killer. It is a virus that eats into the fabric of the society, but yet people don't report about it. And the third fact is that women of ages 20 to 24 are at the greatest risk of becoming victims of domestic violence. And I will add that women and young men at the ages of, between the ages of 24 and 20 and 24, they are likely to become victims. They are the greatest risk, and they are likely to become victims of domestic violence. The fourth fact is that domestic violence is the leading cause of injury in families, especially to women. Recently, Harriet died in Cameroon, in Limbe. Many other women are dying because of domestic violence. Many women have had lifetime injuries because of domestic violence, and men too. And sometimes children are even the fatal end, because sometimes when 2 are fighting, I just watched a film the other day. The husband was trying to beat the wife. The daughter was coming to cry that daddy, please don't beat mommy. And he missed the wife and beat the child. The child fell down and died. Those are some of the things that we are talking about. Domestic violence is so silent, and it's a silent killer. In that case, with our culture of silence in Africa, if a child is killed even in an event of domestic violence, nobody talks about it. Everybody will fear to report, and then they will just sit quiet and say, no, the child just died. Many women, the literate class of women, they don't want to talk about it. They will tell you that we had an accident in the kitchen. Oh, I hit my head in the cupboard. Oh, I did this. Oh, my eyes are paining. Whereas they have been violated. A man who is violated will sit quiet and will say that, but how can I tell the world that I have been violated by a woman? So domestic violence is real. And I want to tell us that we should know clearly that because we have been condoning and hiding domestic violence, it grows every day. It is a virus. It is a silent killer. It is worse than HIV because it is killing women, destroying children, and breaking families. And then some few men, they have the number of men suffering from domestic violence, they are few. But the few men too are suffering. And then they cover up, because when they suffer like that, they go and engineer their other men to hate women, to say that women are violators in the families. The next fact is that every 9 seconds, every 1 hour, every second, in all the countries, a woman is being violated. A child is being violated. There's violence in a family. Every minute, every second, either by word of mouth, by physical abuse. There's so many ways. And every year, 1 in 3 women become victims of domestic violence. Domestic violence is killing us. It's a monster. It's a monster, sisters and brothers. It is a silent killer. And domestic violence is breaking people down. Many, if one of the major reasons for so much high level of hypertension today is domestic violence, because it's the kind of violence that people don't talk about. People are so silent, just zip their mouth. Now let us come back to talk a bit about the fact that it is not reported. How many people really come out and shout out about domestic violence, even amongst we women? Sometimes when a woman is vocal that she's being violated, we instead say that this woman is too talkative. We instead take it and mock her. We slander her. We smear campaign her. Some of us even go behind and get to the husbands to make sure that the woman is really being treated roughly. That is what some of us do. But how many of us have ever empathized with these people? Use empathy to look, to truly, really deeply understand what these people are going through. Because when somebody is crying foul every day the person is saying that, look, I'm suffering. If you don't raise eyebrows, when that person dies, your hand is in it. There is a song that we used to sing when I was in a big choir in Bamenda. We used to sing that if you don't tell Christ to people, at the end of the day, when you go and stand before God, God will ask you, you heard about me, did you tell these people? Or when somebody will be going to die, the person will turn and look at you and say, but you knew about all these things. How did you not help me? Hey, thank you, Rachel. Thank you very much, my dear. That is what we are talking about today. That there are people who know about others who are suffering from domestic violence, but they stay quiet. They don't act. If you are that person who is not acting, and you know that somebody is suffering and is almost dying from domestic violence, then you are a co-violator of that person's rights. Many women are suffering from domestic violence, and we don't report about it. So the first fact is that we need to start reporting about domestic violence. You women, do you keep protecting your family name, or that your name or your position, or you want to say that, no, I'm too educated to start shouting out or to go and report? Or you are blinded maybe by love, or may I call it infatuation, and you are not able to speak out when you are suffering? Or you, that man who is maybe being violated, because there's a small percentage of men who are being violated in homes. Do you sit quiet because you think that you are the almighty king, and if you were to report, people will say that you are a weak man? Or you, that boy who is in that home where your mother is being violated every day, do you sit quiet in conformity with your father, with your daddy? You say that, no, I take sides with my daddy? Or you shout out and complain about it, or you do something, or you have a deep talk with your father? Domestic violence is a virus. It's a silent killer, sisters and brothers. It is killing and it is damaging our world. And except we sit up and start talking about this, start shouting out about this, start condemning this, start telling the world that domestic violence is dangerous, reporting instances of domestic violence, we will not go anywhere, because it is intimate violence and it is done within the homes. Now, I would like us to quickly look at different types of domestic violence, because when we hear of domestic violence, we quickly think only between husband and wife. I would tell us that there is domestic violence between husband and wife. That one is at a very high level, extremely high, and many women are dying because of this. Many women are suffering. Many families are disentangling because of this. So there is domestic violence, which is intimate violence, which is between husband and wife. that goes on and ends within the family. And sometimes a woman is really dying, but she does not know how to speak out. Sometimes a man, the men who are also violated, they are dying, but they don't want to speak out. They start telling people, how can a man be talking? And then women just stay quiet and they are killed. They are made incapacitated. In fact, they are labeled as fools, stupid people, useless women. And then at the end of the day, they don't help themselves. The second type of domestic violence is within the family. There is a lot of domestic violence that is going on within the families. There are some siblings that are always at loggerhead with each other. Even there are some children who are at loggerhead with their parents. There are some families where the level of domestic violence that is going on between the family head and the wife towards maybe the workers of the house, the house girl, the house boy, the cooks, is enormous. So domestic violence, my dear brothers and sisters, is violence that is done within the confines of the house. It is secret violence because it is hidden under the roof of the house. That is the reason why it is not reported, and many people are dying because of it. Many people are suffering because of it. Many people are developing hypertension because of it. Many people have developed different types of illnesses because of it. And people are suffering. Many people are suffering today because of this. So today, I want us to look quickly. The topic of today is going to look quickly at the effects of domestic violence on the children. Nowadays, we see many children are out there. They have become drug addicts. Some of them are thieves, robbers. Some of them are taking all kinds of. I hear the latest one is called tramol. What do they call it? Tramol or what? Many children have indulged. I see you, Tasha, welcome. Many children have indulged in wild consumption of drug because of broken home. Yes, tramadol, Tasha, thank you. That's the name. Tramadol. I don't even like to know this name. And many more drugs. Some of them sniff what they call super glue. Like in Yaoundé there, you see these boys who are from the north, they sniff. They take super glue, sniff, and they become drunk and they get mad. Some of them just are alcoholics. Many children are spoiling today. Our children, we have lost grip of our children because of domestic violence. Why? Because when there is domestic violence in the house, the child becomes a victim. And when the child becomes a victim, there is no way. These children are the minority. They are the minor. They have their voices are not heard in such families. For that reason, they have nobody to turn to, and then they will indulge in things out of the family that you parents, instead of concentrating to check on your children, to direct your children, to bring up your children in a good way, you take the children and you forget about the children. You are fighting amongst each other. Then the children are going bad. Yes, my dear sister, that's what I discovered in Yaoundé. The Northeast children, they use super glue. They have a particular type of super glue. They sniff it and it drugs them, and they go out and do what they want to do. Some of them take marijuana, and it is not only making them to become wild, but it's killing them gradually, and it is destroying the fabric of our society. I wonder what we are thinking about when we just don't report about domestic violence, when we have decided to zip our mouths about domestic violence, when we have decided to develop the culture of silence on domestic violence. It is killing us. The first thing is that in every year, children, in fact, if you look at the statistics, you will see that over 3 million children witness domestic violence in their homes. Terrible. Over 300 children witness domestic violence in their homes. Just as Rachel is surprised about the super glue, that's how I was shocked. I almost collapsed when I saw them sniffing super glue, and when I asked, they said it's a drug. I work in schools. I work with schools, with students. And I have discovered that if we are not careful, our children are all bad. You see what children are doing in schools today. You will be shocked if this is the same world where you and I were raised. And I I am frowning at domestic violence because many parents do not concentrate to direct their children. They don't concentrate to try to help their children. They are no longer leading the children towards the ways of the Lord. They are no longer leading the children to grow up in such a way that when they are old, they will not depart from those ways. They concentrate in fighting each other, and then they become frustrated. They go out, drink, get drunk, come back and sleep. Whereas the children are there abandoned to themselves, and they grow like grass in the bushes. I tell you, even the grasses in the bushes, sometimes they are directed by the birds and the animals that pass by. But our children nowadays are not directed. We have learned a very stupid character. Some of us are not only just suffering from domestic violence, but we have heard the notion of human rights, and we think that children getting rights means that we should not discipline children. We shouldn't punish children, but we should discipline children. Thank you, my dear brother Kenneth. We shouldn't punish children, but we should discipline children. We should direct children in the way they shall grow, so that when they are old, they will not depart from these ways. The Bible says it to us. And the Bible says it clear. How can God entrust you with his people and you are not able to direct them because you are fighting with each other? What lessons are you training these children with? What lessons are you giving to these children? Do you know that when you fight with your husband or your wife, your child is listening? Now to the men. Some men even scold their wives in front of their children. What lesson are you giving? What legacy are you leaving? What are you training that child with? Some don't always scold their children. They beat their children, their wives. They beat their wives in front of their children. Some even make their wives, subject their wives to some humiliating things, to do some humiliating things, because according to them, they are angry in front of their children. What are you teaching your children? Now to us women, some of us women, we run our mouths anyhow towards our husbands in front of our children. We throw insults here and there. Before 5 minutes, we have said 1,000 things, and our children are there looking and listening and watching. So what are we training the children? In their frustration, they will go wild. They will take super glue. They will take tramadol. They will take banger. They will take anything that they think they can take, because that is the only place where they will find solace. And then one day you will come and start to regret, and you start to cry, and you start to complain. So domestic violence, my brother Zoe Celestine, welcome sir. Domestic violence is killing and disentangling our family. Not only those who are fighting, that is, not only the grown-ups who are involved, the husband, wife, maybe the parents and siblings or whoever, but it is breaking down our children, and it is destroying the children. The children are not the kind of children we intend them to be. There is a song we used to sing that your children are not your children. Because, and the song says that the children, they have their own souls. They have their own souls. They just pass through us. We are just a passage through which God sent them to this world. And we are a passage, a vessel that God selected for us to lead his people to grow up and be better people. That is why the Bible says we should train up a child in the way he shall grow, so that when he gets older, he will not depart from that. But we have, rather than spending time to direct children and teach them, even by example, good examples, we have indulged in useless domestic violence and fighting, quarreling, backstabbing each other in a marriage, in a family. Everybody is trying to justify to be the best. And then we have made the world to become a war zone, a war front. Because even the children, the people who are supposed to be our leaders of tomorrow, they are becoming so violent, learning from us. They say that children learn very well from their parents. Yes. When you lock up your door and you're fighting in your room, do you know that your children are watching? Do you know that they're listening to what you're saying? In fact, if you were to become a fly and then you fly outside, you will see all their ears on your door, listening to what you're saying. And when they listen, they capture. So children become, there is a common saying that when the elephants fight, the grass suffers. The children are the grasses within a domestic home. Hey, welcome my beautiful Christabel. Our topic today is sweet and I want you to contribute. The topic today is domestic violence is killing, is the reason for broken homes and the reason for wayward children today. If you agree to this, then you have something to say in this discussion. Ruth, welcome. Ruthie, you have something to say in this discussion. Please share this video and also drop a comment. Do you agree with me that domestic violence is a silent killer, is worse than HIV? It is hidden under the roofs of our homes, and it is disentangling the society and killing us. It is making our children to be bad children, to indulge in drug. If you can imagine that every year more than 3 million children witness domestic violence in their homes, then you can imagine, yes my dear, thank you too. You can imagine how the world is getting by. 3 million children, at least 3 million children every year witness domestic violence. So even if you are not killing your wife, or you are not killing your husband, or you are not fighting, just 3 words, children are watching you and they are witnessing domestic violence, and that is detrimental to them. There are many reports online. If you look, you will see about domestic violence. Now let me make another point. Boys who witness domestic violence are twice as likely to abuse their own partners and children when they become adults. Yes, when you are beating your wife every day, being so rude every day, coming home drunk every day, not being a true father, what are you teaching your boy child? That is violence on your boy child. And you are just telling your boy child that when this child grows up and gets their own partner, they should do the same. I tell you, boys in such homes are yearning to grow old quickly, get married to this woman, and then prove their power by beating the woman, shouting at the woman, and doing things that are not accepted. Yes, this is true. If you agree with me, you put a comment on the comment box. This is true. In those homes, I said earlier that domestic violence is a vicious cycle. When once it started in one family, it starts to multiply, because sometimes neighbors too want to do it, and then from there it will continue to multiply, because children from such homes will go out and do the same. And then you will see that even women, young girls who came out from a home where their mothers will say 10 things to their father when their father says one, the women will get married and they will be doing same. Maybe that is why in Africa sometimes they say, let us check the family before we allow our son to get married to this woman. Or let us check the family before we allow our daughter to get married to this man. Maybe. Yes, Rachel says, yes. I've seen so many cases like that, especially here in the US. My dear, I tell you, there are so many cases. And then you see children are just left to grow on their own. And someday we want to stand up and say that, no, we did not know. My beautiful friend Pamela Ngelfo, welcome on board. Please contribute to this topic. Then you see people, you see a society that is being killed by themselves. They themselves are gradually killing the society. We ourselves, by our lifestyles, the way we live, the way we live with our families, the way we have decided to zip our mouth and don't talk about domestic violence, the way you, that woman who has been violated, goes around telling people that, no, my eye is paining, you wear glasses and say you have Apollo, whereas they gave you a slap and your eyes are swollen, or you have been crying the whole night. Or you have a broken arm and you say that, no, you had an accident, whereas you had been beaten the whole night. Or you, that neighbor who knows that this woman is being beaten every day, and you don't talk about it. Are we helping the world, or we are killing the world? My dear, the degree of domestic violence that is killing our world is serious, and we can only come out of it if we start talking about it. We'll break the silence. Speak out. Report domestic violence. Even if you cannot report to the police, report to an elderly person, report to a counselor. Look for help. Rather than die like Harriet died in Limbe, rather than die like other women have died, rather than lose your life, rather than bring up children who become constitute violence in the society, who constitute a threat to the society, rather than bring up children who grow up confused. We need to step up in the way we are relating to each other. Now let me come to our contextualizing Africa and Cameroon, where I come from. In Cameroon, domestic violence is at the rise. You see children There was a day, I will give you an example. One day I was sitting at Ghana Street at about 7 o'clock. It was getting to 9. No, not 7, 9. Getting to 9 and past 9. And I saw a small girl of about, I think that girl was about 9 years with a basin of a tray of granules. I was embarrassed. I was sitting with so many people, responsible men and women. I was embarrassed and I said, oh, tomorrow is school day. I called for the girl. I bought all the granules because they were almost done. I bought those granules for about 1,500 francs. And then I told the girl, asked the girl, do you go to school? She said yes. I said, but are you not going to school tomorrow? She said she will go. I said, at this time you are not resting. When will you rest? Or when will you do your homework before you go to school? You better go home now. Then as a girl, I paid her and she left. People on that same table, responsible people, fathers. One man attacked me and insulted, gave me a running down of me, necketed me with his mouth. Because I said, look, this family is not treating this child well. This child, we don't refuse that children should not help their parents to sell. But they should have a defined time. This child at this hour is exposed to rape, sexual harassment, even abduction, kidnap and killing. And then the child is being killed gradually because this child will not study. When this child will go to school and not succeed, the same parents will be beating this child and labeling that child to be dull. When I said these things, this man, it became a big debate. And then this man insulted me. Thank God that many other people who were there took up the issue. And then there was a real shout and quarrel, and then people talked about it, and people tried to draw this man's attention, and they put that man on his place. Because how can a parent, somebody asked him, do you have children? And he was like, yes, I have children, but do you know that this woman who is sending this child may be somebody who is suffering? She may be handicapped. He said he brought some stupid justification, but that is not justification, because this child could close from school at 2, rest for 1 hour, go do the business. By 6, the child can go home. Why subject the child to that? Did that child right to be delivered by you? That you have to force this child to be able to sell in order to assist in paying their school fee? Because that was one of the reasons that the man said that this child has to work for her school fee. Really? Another thing that I've witnessed in Yaoundé is the example of this selling. You see children carry bitter cola on their head, some carry some funny things, and they go round Yaoundé the whole night. At 2 a.m. you are in a party and you leave from a party, or you are in a drinking place with people, or you are for an event somewhere, you see a child come in with something on the head that really does not have any significance. And the child will say, I have to sell. I will not hesitate to give another example. Some years back in Bafoussam, where we were called, my office was called to come and rescue a young girl. We went and met a young girl who had been raped several times. This young girl was taken from home by a so-called auntie, brought to Bafoussam, and she was used to sell meat. And each time the auntie gave her the meat, if it is 5,000, the auntie would tell her that until you sell the last piece of this meat, you must not come back home. If you come back home, it means you are bringing home 5,000 francs. And so this child will stay out there, she will get tired, sit and sleep, and she was exposing herself to domestic violence. And finally, she was raped several times, and this night, she was raped by several people. The child was at the point of death. Thank God when we took her to the hospital, she was rescued. But now, let me say something. Those of us who live in towns, especially those of us who think that we know so many things, we think that we have affluence back in our villages. We can influence people. We go and collect people's children, come and keep them. They are working for us, or we give them to people like babysitters and houseboys, or sales girls and sales boys, and they pay us and we become big. We eat fat while people's children are suffering. That is also another form of domestic violence. You bring somebody under your roof with the pretext of wanting to help that person, and then you come and subject that person to nasty way of living, and then you make that person to suffer while you eat fat on that person's sweat. Is that not terrible? That is what some people are doing. Some women are doing this, unfortunately. Many women do this. And I'm wondering and asking myself, is this all right? Is this something that should be done? Should children be subjected to such things? Should families have to go through this? You, the parents, why did you deliver these children and you want to give them out to somebody without even checking out to be sure that this somebody will not misuse your child? Because many parents in the villages just sit and take their children, send to towns and say that the children are going for work. Do you know what the children are going for work for? It is the same thing that is happening now with the children going to the Middle East. I traveled one day, and in the plane, I met some 6 girls who were seemingly lost. They did not even know where they were going to. When we dropped off at in Kenya, in Nairobi, I went to them inquisitively and I asked them, "Where are you people going to?" I said, I'm from Cameroon, and then I introduced them. So I said, "I saw you boarded the flight. You joined the flight in Douala when we left from Yaoundé and stopped over." They said, "Ah, yes, auntie, we are going to Jeddah." That's why they said, "We are going to Jeddah." I said, "Ah, that's good. I've never seen people going to Jeddah. So what is in Jeddah?" They had to wait for about 10 hours in Nairobi, and I had 6 hours to wait, layover. So we had a long time to discuss. I went and sat with them. And then I asked them, "What is in Jeddah?" They told me, "No, we are going for work." I said, "Do you know the work you're going to do in Jeddah?" They said, "No, we don't know. But I said, "But how did you know? How did you have this job?" They told me, "No, somebody, there's a company that recruited us and is sending us out. And this company, they have paid our flights." When I looked at the flight ticket, they had a one-way ticket, meaning that their return was not assured, even if they get there and they don't have this job or they don't meet whoever had to receive them. And then, who is this company? We don't know. Somebody was a middleman. Can you imagine? And I immediately saw that this children was going for prostitution. That is domestic violence. You who takes people's children, and especially families that you know, and you pretend that you want to help them by killing them. There are many of such cases. Why are we doing this to the world? Domestic violence is killing us. Rachel said that she witnesses domestic violence in the U.S. so much, and it's true. There are many people who are living under, they are suffering in this place. People are suffering, but they stay quiet under the banner of this or that reason. Should you subject yourself under this kind of conditions just because you want to suffer? Yes, Nathan, it's true. Violation of children's rights is very high in the event of domestic violence. Many children are suffering. The society is suffering. Now, let us, I know, before I go to another point, I know of a child who had been subjected to incest by the father because there was domestic violence and the mother left the house. Why do we do this? Why do we subject our children to such inhumane and cruel treatment just because of domestic violence? Can't we learn to cohabit? Can't we learn to cohabit and live with other people in peace? Can't we learn to enjoy our lifestyles, to enjoy our love with people, to enjoy our families and disagree to agree? Can't we disagree and solve these problems and then move on rather than making the children to become the footstool and making them to suffer? Because that is what I've witnessed. Are we sure that we are on the right foot when we allow our children to be victims of domestic violence? Welcome, Caroline. Many of our children are dying and they are becoming dangerous to the society because of domestic violence. So I want us to be agents of change, because we can help children by breaking the silence that surrounds domestic violence. Now, domestic violence also impacts very negatively on our community, because now many of these children who have gone into drug, where are they? They are in our community, and they constitute a security issue. They are a problem to the community. They are rude to elders. They become thieves. They want to start living lives that they don't have, so they are going to look for money to live that life. You cannot, in fact, I don't even know if I can name all of what these children are going through. So my question is, should we continue to allow children to suffer to get to this level where they will become a problem in the society, or we should speak out? Should we become those people who speak out and help the society, or we will stay quiet and allow our children to constitute a problem within the society? Where are the people? I want people to talk out. People have to talk out. Domestic violence is a monster. It is killing the society. Because when these children become street children as a result of domestic violence, what happens? They constitute a problem in our society. And when they constitute a problem in our society, they become a problem to you, to me, and then we start complaining that these children are bad, whereas we push them to become what they are. So my dear brothers and sisters, what are you planning to do in order to stop domestic violence? Because for your personal safety, you have to help and stop domestic violence. For your personal safety. Violence, there's also violence right now in the internet. There is dating in the internet, relationship in the internet. I have seen a new one in the US where people lure you through internet until they come and kill you because of they come and kill you. That is violence. How are we going to solve this problem? Personal safety skills will not solve the social causes of domestic violence and dating violence, but they will help. And one of the biggest personal safety skill is to speak out against domestic violence. Speak out against it. Talk against it. Yes, Clotilde, welcome, my dear. I've been missing you all this time. Let's speak out against domestic violence. Don't hide it. When you assess somebody's behavior, if you have a friend, a girlfriend, and you discover that she is always sad, she has just automatically started being sad, being moody, or being so aggressive, start to check. Is this person not living in an abusive relationship? Does it make sense to live in an abusive relationship and die? It doesn't make sense. Does it make sense to live in an abusive relationship and bring up children who are useless to the society? It doesn't make sense. Does it make sense to bring up, to be in an abusive relationship and make the community to suffer as a result? It doesn't make sense. So domestic violence is becoming a problem. And the biggest problem about domestic violence is that we don't talk about it. And now I am calling on us to start talking about domestic violence. If you are a man, shout out about domestic violence. There are very good men out there. I see you, Kempes, welcome. I see you, Godlove, welcome. If you are a man, shout out against domestic violence. If a woman violates you, talk out. Stop saying that, no, if I speak out, it will mean that this woman is more than me. Forget about what society will say about you, but speak out to stop domestic violence. If you are a woman and you are violated in any way, speak out. It doesn't make sense for you to subject yourself to violence and then you die, or you bring up children who are useless people. It doesn't make sense. We have to break the silence. Speak out. Break the silence. Speak out. In schools where we work, we have discovered children. One child told us about a situation where she is being sexually harassed by somebody living in their home, but the mother condones because that somebody who lives in their home is their relative. And the mother does not really condone. The mother does not believe. Pardon me that word, condone. The mother does not believe. The mother keeps saying, no, this your uncle loves you so much. He buys things for you. Why can you be saying this kind of thing? Your uncle cannot do that for you. But this girl, because the house is small, the girl sleeps in the same room with this man. And this man, every night, the man is trying to fondle her. The man sexually harasses her, rapes her. But then when she talks to the parents, they don't believe. We in Africa, we believe in our family line so much so that incest has eaten deep into the fabric of the society, and then it is one of the weapons of domestic violence. Incest has become a weapon of domestic violence. Rape is a weapon of domestic violence. But we are so blind in Africa. We are so blind. We always think that because this person is a family relation, this person cannot do that. Because this person is so close to us, he cannot do that. I also have another story of a young girl who was raped and impregnated by a so-called pastor. Because we think that this man is our spiritual leader, he will not do this. That is how naive we are. And then domestic violence is right under our roofs. We don't see it. I bet you, if you are somebody who is quiet and silent about domestic violence, and you allow domestic violence to kill our children, to kill the fabric of our society, to destroy this society, then you are a problem to the society. And the only thing I can say is that you have to start working towards ending domestic violence, because it doesn't make sense to know that there is domestic violence and you stay quiet. It doesn't make sense to allow domestic violence to destroy your society. It doesn't make sense to be quiet while people are dying. I want us to share this video and comment to this video. Let's share this video. The way people are quiet in this video shows the level of silence in domestic violence. In the event of domestic violence, this is how people are quiet. Are you silent here because you condone domestic violence, or you are silent because you don't want to talk about it? I want us to talk about this. What do you have to say about domestic violence? Do you have experiences to share like I am sharing? There is another experience I will tell you. That I used to have a neighbor who was beating the wife. Each time he comes back late at night, he will subject the wife and children to, the wife will wake up, maybe he has returned about 2 a.m. drunk. He will ask the wife to wake up and give him food. The wife will wake up, give him the food, and the next thing he will do is that he will ask them to line up in front of him and be dancing and singing while he eats. That is terrible. You come back home when people are sleeping. Rachel, you people have to say something. You come back home when people are already sleeping, you wake them up from sleep, and you subject them to be dancing for you while you eat. In fact, this neighbor ended up by the woman breaking her silence one day and giving him a snake beating when he wanted to beat her again, because when she refuses to dance, she is beaten. When she reacted and beat up this man, the man was shocked, and then the man could only testify to his friends that, in fact, when we beat these women and they are quiet, it's not because they don't have the power to beat us back. It's just because they respect us and they are sober. And today, that man is an innovator, and he is preaching against domestic violence. So please, I want us to speak out. If this woman did not speak out, this man will keep doing this and thinking there is a way of life. And I don't blame the men who do this. It's because they grew up in homes where this was a way of life. That is why I don't blame the men who violate their wives in domestic violence. I think that they rather need help. Many men need help because they grew up in a circumstance where they thought that beating a woman was a way of life. They thought that this was just the way marriage should be. Their fathers never spent time to teach them how to become good husbands. They always spent time to teach them how to become strong men. That is how we train our children today. We teach them how to become strong men. We don't teach them how to become husbands, respectful husbands, loving husbands. We don't. And then women too. The mothers teach the girls how to become women, how to become wives and mothers. They don't teach them how to become loving wives, how to behave with their husbands. They don't teach them how to speak out when something is bad. They just teach them to be submissive, submissive, submissive. How can you be submissive when there's no love? And how can you submissive to death? How can you become submissive to the extent of spoiling the children that have come out from your own very womb? Pushing them to become drug addicts. How can submissive be this kind? Is that how submissive should be? Submissiveness should not be at this level. Submissiveness, the Bible says that we should be submissive one to another. And submissiveness should be that one which is reciprocated with love. Welcome, Zebedee. Share this video and comment, please. We are talking about domestic violence that is breaking homes and it is destroying children. And I want to use my brother Zebedee as an example of a good family. You see, since they got married, they have a child. you see them always in love, and they are move around with their daughter. They are teaching that daughter good virtues. Are you having good vibes in your home? Do you bring good virtues to your children? Or you spend your time fighting, quarreling with your husband, maybe grumbling throughout? Your husband is such a jerk, such a bully that each time he enters the house, children are running to hide. You yourself, your woman, the wife is running to hide. Are you that husband who treats your children and your wife on the same level? Just as you slap your child, you slap your wife. Just as you yell on your child, you yell on your wife. Are you that kind of person? Or you are that kind of woman too who will shout at your husband just the way you shout at your child? My dear people, it's about time we start teaching our children. Welcome, Esther. We start teaching our boys how to be husbands. Loving husbands. Not violence, domestic violence filled husbands. Not husbands who violate women anyhow. Most men in Africa do not spend time to train their sons. I see you, Nat. Welcome. We don't train our sons to be husbands. We just train them to be strong men. And then when they come as strong men, they use the strong power to beat women anyhow, to disentangle their families, to violate their children because they want to reassure their position of being the strong men. Rather, we need to teach our sons to be strong men who will be loving, strong, loving men. Strong men, why? Because they are the head of the family. But loving men, because you cannot hate a family that you don't love. You cannot hate a family that you kill, because when you kill that family, who are you going to hate? Will you hate the family and then make the family to be a bad family? Will you hate a family where the children will not be examples in the society? Welcome, my dear sister Betha. Thank you. Will you hate a family where your children will constitute a security issue in the society? Come on, we need to sit up, step up. And us mothers, what are we training our children? Are we giving them the culture of silence that we grew up with? We make them to be silent to death? Because when we're growing up, even when you are in labor pain, they tell you not to cry, not to even express that you are in labor pain. We have been trained and socialized to be silent. And then people are silent to death. Do we train our children, our daughters, only to be wives, submissive wives, and to be good mothers? Or we train them to be submissive but good wives? That is, wives that can be good partners to men, that can partner with their husband to bring up these children in a good way. That means that when there is domestic violence, this woman, this child that you have raised, can be able to discuss with the husband, to speak out against it, rather than just stay quiet and cry the whole day. Then when in the evening, when the man comes back, he jumps on her as if nothing happened, and then she just thinks that because my husband has come and wants to make love to me, everything is fine, and then she flows. Then the next day after the love making is another slap. Rachel, thank you so much. Rachel says, there's this lady where I work. At times she won't show up at work because she got hit by her husband. She even lost a tooth. Whenever we try to talk to her, she keeps saying she doesn't want to get the man into trouble because she came here at the age of 11 with this guy. She came like his sister, but was given to the man as a wife. They've got kids. I keep telling her, you have to say something, because even back in Africa, we fight against domestic violence. At times, the victims don't even want others to help or even intervene on their behalf. You can say that again, even loudest, my dear sister Rachel. You can say that. I experience this every day because this is my work every day. Sometimes you counsel somebody, you counsel someone, and you want to help that person, and then the person just turns and wants to make you to become the bad person. In that case, I just watch you to go carry your stupidness. God will never blame me that I did not say it to you, because God will say, yes, you helped her. She rejected your help. In this case, Rachel, you are doing your best. Let's speak out. If they reject our help, it is their issue. We have spoken out. In my work, I work for women. I am a woman advocate. I work for women. I am a psychosocial counselor. So you can imagine how sometimes I go home burnt out, because I have been able to listen to problems, and I put myself in the shoe of these people. And then some of the people, I will give you another example. One time, a girl came to my office and complained that the father was struggling to make love with her. I was so shocked. Then I asked her, can I talk to your mom about it? Have you told your mom? She said, yes, I've told my mom. So your mom knows. What has their mom done? She's just quiet about it. She says I should not speak out. So I have been directed to your office. Those were the words of the girl. And then I told her, give me your mother's number. I took the mother's number and I called her mother. For that reason, I refused to let the mother know why I was calling for her. I just invited her to my office. The woman accepted to come. The next day, we were waiting for her to come, so we counseled her and then present the situation to her and help her to speak out in order to help the daughter. This woman, I don't know, on a second thought, or maybe she suspected that the daughter might have said something. The woman, the next day, we were waiting. She never turned up. When I called, the line never went through again. One good day, when the line went through, she told me that, no, madam, I don't want to expose my family. This girl had to run out of home when I was living with one boy because the boy was helping her pay fee. And then what happened was that she got pregnant. So who pushed her out? You, the mother. Because you are condoning sin. The Bible says it. If you condone sin, you are sinning. Why don't you shout out? It's even better to take it to your pastor and let your pastor help you if you don't want to speak out, if you don't want to make it public. Rather than stay quiet and kill your child, disentangle your family with your own very hands. This is going on. A lot is going on under these roofs that we sit under called homes. We need to break the silence. Speak out against these things. Look at this, what our sister Rachel has shared. Please, many more people should share. There's a lot out there. I tell you, there are some. If somebody wants to come on board, let me invite you so that you come and talk about it. We need to talk about these things. If you want to come online, just let me know. I will invite you. I will add you and then you talk it out. But you must not write. There's a lot that is going on out there. People are suffering. But silence is the killer agent. Because we just stay quiet. How can you be every day you even miss your job, and then you keep saying that you are hiding it because you don't want to kill this, you don't want to expose your husband? Welcome on board, my handsome brother, Fengwe Clovis. That's one of the families that I admire a lot. My love to Nawai. That is one of the families that is also an exemplary family. What does it cost you to speak out against domestic violence? Rather than allowing someone to die, rather than allowing children to grow up within a family and become useless, become drug addicts, become bandits in the society, start killing people because they grew up within a very violatory environment. Hi, Bobby. It's good to speak out. We have to start speaking out. If you keep quiet, it means that you are condoning evil. And I am still repeating this. In Africa, we train our children, women, our mothers train us how to be good wives. They train us how to nurture our children. But they don't train us how to be good partners with our husbands. Meaning that they don't train us how to talk to our husbands in the case of violence. How to bring our husbands to control through a good way when our husbands are going out of control and becoming so violent in the house. They don't train us that, except that, in fact, very few families do. Beatrice, welcome. Very few families really do this. Very, very few. Minimal do train their girls how to live with their husbands, how to live. They just train them how to be submissive. They just train them how to nurture children. But don't train them how to live and enjoy their marriages. That is why domestic violence keeps growing. And when it is growing, the girls think that is a way of life. And some of them just even fear their mothers. If I go back, what would my mother say when she spent all her time training me to be a wife? If I go back, what would my mother say when she spent all her time training me how to nurture children? That is what we do. And then we stay in trouble. And we suffer and suffer. And then we see the world is getting off hand. Children have gone off hand. Now, us, hey, I see you, my pastor, Paul. This topic, I want you to say something about it. We are talking about domestic violence that is breaking our families and is making children to become drug addicts. Rachel has said something. I went through this form, this from my stepmom, but today I'm the one helping her and the kids. By then we were still ignorant. I thank God I'm hardworking today because of what I went through. Thank you, my dear. You see, you took those challenges as stepping stones. That's what we said in one of our chats. When you take a challenge as an opportunity for you to become a better person, I bet you become a very better person. And I applaud you for that, my sister. You are a role model. And you must do it by teaching people. That is why each time you see me online, if you are free, you come online so that we can chat and we can talk. We can do things like this always. It's very, very important. You can come in. Open, please. It's very important. Yes, I am busy. I am online. Okay. Let me bring them. Please just keep online. I'm giving clothes for my grandchildren. Thank you. Continue the discussion. Nobody should go anywhere because I'm going to talk about the men too. Yes, I'm back. I'm right here. I'm right here, and I want a hi and welcome. I want us now to look at what Rachel just said. Rachel said she went through this from her stepmom, and I want us to say something about that. Most of us women, our stepmoms, when we are stepmoms, we think that other people's children did not pain them when they delivered them. That's another form of domestic violence. We subject people's children to grow, to suffer and suffer. Thank you, Tasha. We subject people's children to suffer simply because we think that they are not our children. That's another form of domestic violence, and it is serious. But thank God, many children who experience this become very strong because they learn through the hardship. Thank you, Rachel, for sharing that. I really appreciate, and I pray that many people share this. Now let's talk about the men. Our fathers train our boys how to be strong men, as I said earlier. They tell you, why are you sitting like a woman? Why are you crying like a woman? Behave like a man. Go out and play. You are a strong man. They buy them guns. They buy them cars. Then they buy dolls, baby dolls for girls. They buy kitchen utensils for girls. And then they buy the men, small boys, small guns. They buy them strong men, ninjas, all those people, to make them know that they are strong people. But they don't teach them how to live happily with a woman. They teach them how to top down on women rather than how to live happily with a woman. And this is a problem. That is the problem in the society today. Many families are suffering not because the men are bad men. Most men do things not because they are bad men. Most men violate women not because they are wicked. It's because they grew up like that. They know that that is how a man should behave. They know that that is a way of life. That is it. It's because they grew up like this. When they were growing up, their fathers were always beating their moms. They were always in trouble. When they were growing up, they were, in fact, so I don't readily blame a man when I see him being violating people like this, being violent on a woman. But when they call you out and you keep doing it, it means that you are a bad man. That is when I say you are a bad man. If your awareness is drawn and you still do it. Yes, my dear, you have to really inspire so many people. Rachel, inspire so many people. We are suffering today because of the way we have constructed the world. And until we start deconstructing all what we have had in the world today, domestic violence will continue. Remember, I told you it's a vicious cycle. Domestic violence will not end today or tomorrow if we don't each take up make individual decisions to change, because it is already deep rooted in our behavioral patterns. The behavioral patterns on an average family in our villages is that the man is the patron and the woman is the subordinate, rather than the man is the head of the family and is supposed to, the wife is the neck, as people say, but the husband as the head of the family is supposed to gather their family. Do you know how a mother hen sits on her cheeks? That is how a family head should be. A family head should be loving, should be an example, should be caring, should not be that family head who, when his car is coming, immediately he hoots outside, the whole house disappears. There are some like this. The house just disappears. Children run under the bed into the rooms. The wife goes to the kitchen, and it ends there. Rachel says bad friends, bad company, too may make them act like that too. I'm talking about the men. Yes, my dear, that is a wonderful example. There are some men who are so good. When they get married to their wives, they are so nice to their wives. They are really partners, living well. And then some men will tell them, you are woman, this woman rapper. Who says that a man does not tie wrapper? You think that only women tie wrapper? That when you see a man who is sober and nice to the wife, you say it's a woman rapper. Hey, this one, the wife has put his head under her armpit. Hey, this one, when men are talking, you don't have to talk. Just because maybe you came to your friend's house and you saw him maybe changing the diaper of his son or his daughter, or maybe you came to the house and you saw him maybe cooking, or maybe you were passing by and you saw him doing laundry. Because some people are really bad influence. And then some just influence them by pulling them away from home. After work, they go to drink. They drink the whole day. They talk about rubbish. They chat over rubbish. And then at the end of the day, you come home tired and rejected. That is what happens. Bad influence. We need to rewrite the story in the world. We have to rewrite the story. We must rewrite the story by, first of all, trying to change our perception of who a man should be and who a woman should be. Not a man, who a wife, a husband should be and who a wife should be. A wife is the partner, should be a friend, a lover, should be a friend, not an enemy. Should not be somebody who should be seen by the partner as a footstool. Yes, I like it. My pastor has spoken. I think physical violence is one form of violence practiced to a great extent by the physically stronger spouse on the other. But there is emotional violence practiced by the emotionally strong party. Keeping silent sometimes is an act of violence. We must learn to talk out, but seasoning our conversation with salt, disagreeing but not being disagreeable. You see what I mean? When I tell people that my pastor is in the house and my pastor has something to say, this is what I mean. Thank you, pastor. Let me give something to my grandson here. Jaden. Yes. I'm sorry for that in and out. It happens when you are a grandmother. But we are here. The pastor has said it, that physical violence is usually meted on the other by the physically strong. In most cases, the men are physically stronger than the women. But there's some women who are strong, and I agree. There's some men who suffer from domestic violence from their wives, yes. But the degree is smaller than that of women. So the physically stronger tends to violate the other one physically a lot. And then emotionally, he says it, and he says, but there is emotional violence practiced by the emotionally strong party. Keeping silence sometimes is an act of violence. Yes, emotional violence. Some men don't beat their wives, but they refuse to eat. They don't talk. They just stay out, and then they use their homes like hotels. They come back late and sleep. And then the woman talks. They don't just answer, even in front of the children. The children visibly see that daddy is not talking with mommy. Sometimes they will not even take their children anymore. Because they're angry with their wives, they transfer the aggression to their children. And then the woman now does not even know. Maybe the woman did not even take note of what happened. Then the woman will now be more psychologically broken. It happens also with men. Some women, because their husbands angered them, their husbands will want to greet them, they will not respond. Their husband want to talk, they will not respond. There will be silence, uneasy silence in the house. And then the children are watching too. So whoever is remaining silent is violating the other person. Because if your husband is meting violence on you and you are just quiet, you are not even helping him to change. Vice versa, if your wife is meting violence on you and you are just quiet, you are not helping her to change. Yes, Christy, welcome, my beautiful lady. Share this video, my dear, to your much crowd. Let them come in and talk about this violence. We are talking about domestic violence, and I know you are a messenger of that. I've watched some of your programs and you talk about it seriously. So, Pastor Paul, thank you so much, Doctor. You have said the truth. Domestic violence there is sexual violence inside, there is physical violence, and there's emotional violence, all under domestic violence. Sometimes the man will not talk with you, but he will come home and jump on you. After all, he has the right, because he will say, I bought you my money. Or sometimes the woman will not talk, but she will refuse to open up to the husband, and then she will refuse him sex, and then that is a problem. And at that time, there's no concession. People don't, no discussion, no agreement. And then you see everything is falling apart just because of violence at homes. So I think that we need to start talking. We need to start talking. The pastor has advised us. He says, we must learn to talk out, but seasoning our conversation with salt. Disagreeing, but not being disagreeable ourselves. Yes. Disagreeing with love. Disagreeing to agree. When you don't disagree to agree, then you are a violent person. When there is a problem, it is an opportunity for you to learn and understand the other person more. If you cannot use your problems to learn and understand the other person more, then you are not serious. Rachel, are you free? Can I bring you on screen? If you cannot use your if you want me to bring you on screen, please request. If you cannot be that person who uses their problems as stepping stones to succeed, as an opportunity to get to know your husband or your wife more, then you are failing. If you think that because you have been hurt, you would say anything, because sometimes our mouths say things that we regret after, but we don't know how to take them back. And something already said is difficult to take back. So the pastor, Dr. Kibi, has helped us. He has said it plain that we need to be careful. Season what we say with salt. That he has used the words in the Bible. We have to be careful when we disagree. If you want, oh, okay, my dear, I suspected that. If we want to be people who can collaborate, be partners to develop as a family, we must season whatever we say to each other with salt. Beware what you say to me today. Are you saying what you are saying to me today? If I say it back to you, will you like it or you will react? If you think that you will react, don't say it to me. Because sometimes we just run our mouth and say things to people, and then immediately they say the same things to us. We don't know how to swallow our own pill. You must be watchful. The Bible says that our tongue is dangerous, and if we don't control it, we can burn a whole city with it, even though it's small like that. So the most important thing for us to do is to always ask ourselves, this thing that I want to say to this person, if they were to say it to me, will I be happy? so that you'll be able to weigh your words before you throw them at somebody. Because sometimes we throw words anyhow, especially when we are angry. We just throw words. We just send the words anyhow, and then when the words come back to us, we are not able to accept them. So I am calling on us to listen to the high counsel by our doctor, Pastor Kimbi. He has said it. That's a man of God. He knows what he's saying. We don't just have to throw words. We have to season them. We have to check these words. We have to be sure that when somebody throws these words to us, they will not kill us. They will not break us down. Because if those words can break you down, then they will break anyone down that you threw them to. In the family, we need to start, all of us who are now listening, we have to start training our daughters to be wives, to be mothers, and to be good partners to their husbands. Not only training them to be wives and mothers, let's train them how to be good partners to their husbands. And the guys, you need to train your boys to be strong men, but good partners to their wives. To be lovers, not fighters. To not become monsters in their homes. Should be family heads. A family head should be loving, caring. A family head should be that person who cajoles his family, who helps his family to grow. If your wife is that bad and you keep beating her, even in front of the children, are you helping her or you are making her to grow wild? A family head should be a person who is directing people, who shows love without reservation, who puts himself in the places of people. Because wildness has never helped. It rather kills and disentangles the families. So we need to start building a community that has to carry love. We need to build families that will breed children who will bring love to the society. Because love is absent. Rather, drug is present. Wildness is present. Roughness is present. Foulness is present. Just because in our families, under the confines of our roofs, we don't train our people, our children to be partners. Mothers, take note of this. You spend all your time training us, the girls, because that's how I grew up. I was trained to be a good wife, a good mother, but I was not trained to be a good partner. And that is why marriages are breaking today. Because when women are not able to take what the bitter pill from their husbands and turn it as an opportunity to help the husband to change, vice versa, if a man is not able to take the bitter pill from the wife and turn it as an opportunity to help him to change, you see them, they are bound to separate. And then you see fighting in the home. You see fighting in the home, they are bound to separate, and then there's bound to be trouble. Welcome, my sister Laura. We're talking about domestic violence and its effect on the society and on our children. We need to start training our daughters. Train our daughters not only to be wives and mothers as we have been training, because we only keep telling them to be submissive. Train them to be good partners when they get married. Train them to know that if I am married to a man and the man is bad, I will know how to use this strategy to help this man to become a better man. Divorces will reduce, and then broken families will stop. Separated homes will stop, and our children will not suffer. Our children are suffering. They cannot cry out because they are the minority. But we should become the voice of the voiceless, voice of our children, and cry out on their behalf. Because if we don't do this, our children will keep suffering. Children are going and looking for solace in drugs. They go to wrong people to advise them, whereas you and I, we are spending time with our families, fighting with our partners, rather than bringing up our children. That is why I'm tempted to say that in some cases, single children raised up by single parents, especially mothers, are better, because the mothers don't spend time fighting with each other. Are you that person who is living in an abusive relationship? Speak out. Welcome, my daughter. If anybody is listening to me and is living in an abusive relationship, speak out. Look for help. Don't stay in that abusive relationship and die. If it is physical violence, speak out. Look for people like Laura. Laura is a counselor. She can help you. Speak out. You can take your children to her. She will help them. If it is psychological violence, speak out. Because if it is physical and you don't speak out, they will kill you by beating. If it is psychological and you don't speak out, you will die from hypertension. You will develop hypertension and you may have a stroke. You will develop illnesses and you will die. Speak out. Speak out and look for help. Stop hiding. Stop lying that you had an accident in the kitchen. Stop lying that you fell on a bike. Stop lying. Speak out and help yourself so that you can help your children to become better people. Speak out and look for help. Then those of us who are onlookers, stop being an onlooker. Speak out on behalf of your sisters and your brothers, on behalf of your children. Speak out on behalf of them. Condemn domestic violence. Condemn this kind of violence that is hidden under the roofs and is destroying the society. Condemn this type of violence that has gone so deep in the society and is a vicious cycle. People live from homes where there is domestic violence. They go and create homes with domestic violence. Their own children go and create homes with domestic violence. How then do we think that this secret killer will stop one day? We can also fight domestic violence by changing our mentality of who we think should be a husband and who we think should be a wife. Being a submissive wife has not in any way said that you should be killed because you are submissive. Being a submissive wife doesn't say that you should be a stooge. It doesn't say that you should be a footstool. And it doesn't say that you should become dumb. No. Being a submissive wife means that you should be able to be a good partner with your husband, and then your husband should show love. Being the head of the family doesn't say that you should become a general in the home. Don't make me remember the film, they used to call that film what? Fräulein Maria. Sound of Music, where the father of the house was a general and became a general at home. We don't need men who are generals at home. We need men who are family heads, and a family head is somebody who loves, who cares, who corrects with love, who does not keep a record of wrong, who does not punish but disciplines. That is the definition of a family head. A family head is not somebody who stands with a gun and faces the family each time there's somebody does something wrong. When he is driving home, children are running into the kitchen behind the house. The wife is running out of his vicinity and things like that. No. If you are that kind of man, you are not a family head. You are a general in your house, and not even a good general. Not a general to protect. You are the kinds of generals that we have today. Generals who kill. You are not that general that will bring peace to your home. If you are that kind of a man, never you say that you are the head of a family. We need heads of families, because many women today are breadwinners in their homes. If a woman is breadwinning, some men just abandon everything to them, and then they become generals and want to control even the salaries of the women, and then they bring trouble. Yes, Christy, generals should end the term of office should end, so that we should have loving families where love grows from inside, radiates from homes to the society, and then we'll have a better society. The society is becoming so rough and so dangerous for everybody. Know that if you are a general in your home, you are preparing a rough society, and you belong to that society. You will also be at risk. And you, mother, know that if you are a stooge, in fact, a housewife should not be a stooge, should not be a fool, should not be dumb. If you are dumb and you are a stooge and you are foolish, and you think that by staying quiet and looking for sympathy always will make you a better housewife, I bet you will either die from physical violence or you will die with hypertension. That's why some women just collapse and die. We say, oh, we were just with them yesterday, what happened? We have to stop this so that we can radiate. We need to learn to become partners. And we women, all the beautiful women in the house now, welcome my brother Emmanuel. We have to teach our children to become good wives. Not wives who are stooges, but good partners. Wives who are able to partner with their husbands and bring up children in a good way while enjoying their marriage life. We have met, marriage has become so unpalatable. The young people don't want marriage anymore, because those who are married, either they are breaking out, or they are. My definition of marriage is that when you are married, you stay with your husband and you stay with your wife. You are always together. The way you saw your wife or your husband that first day that you people thought of ever getting married remains the same until they do you part. That's what the Bible tells us now. So why do we get married and then we start fighting each other to the extent of disentangling our families and destroy our children? We have to stop this. We can stop it. It's never too late. It's never too late. Remember that we learn every day. And if you do an evaluation of yourself, you will learn from your own evaluation to know if you are this kind of person who promotes who trains your daughters only to be wives and mothers, and you don't train them to be good partners to their husbands. Or you are this man who trains your boys only to be strong men, and you don't train them to be loving husbands to their wives and be loving and caring family heads. Do we only spend time training our boys? Because this is where the problem is. Most men don't even train their boys. They only tell them to be strong men. Go and play. Why are you crying like a woman? Dress up like a boy. They go to the market and buy all the manly toys for the boys, making them strong, making them to know that driving is only for boys and cooking is only for girls. When we socialize our children like this, what do we expect? The boys grow up and become so strong, too strong to be good family heads. My dear, I'm going towards the end of this chat, and I want to call on us that even when I end this chat, we need to continue to chat on the comment box. Laura, I'm waiting for your comment. Queen, I'm waiting. Christy, I'm waiting. There are many more people. I'm waiting for comments. Share this video. Let people comment so that people should listen to this, my crooked voice saying nothing, this my ranting. Read your comments, and then we help each other to change. Let us train our boys to be husbands, to be lovers, to be family heads, not generals. Not generals who kill, who don't protect. Not this kind of commanders who are commanding everybody around. They should be true family heads as per the Bible. Let us train our daughters to be mothers, to be wives, but also to be good partners. To be partners, not stooges, not footstools. Because after all, if God wanted to make women footstools, he wouldn't have taken the bone from the rib. He would have taken the bone from the head so that we should stand on our husbands, or from the foot so that the husband should stand on us. He did not do that. He took it from the side so that we should be partners. Partners in love, not partners in crime. We should be collaborators. Collaborators to bring up children who will be good people in the society, not collaborators in crime to bring up terrible children to the society. Are you a good husband? Are you a good family head? If you are not, it's not late. It's not late at all. It's never too late. You still have time. Because on your judgment day, you're going to answer from God. What did you do with the family I entrusted to you? Will you tell God that you disentangled the family with violence? And you, woman, will you tell God that I was just so submissive, respecting you, what you said, and then my children got bad? God will not listen to you. You have to direct your children well. My dear brothers and sisters, we've been more than 1 hour, but it was worth it. I think that before we end, we have said that domestic violence, some facts about domestic violence are that the first fact, which is the killer fact, is that domestic violence is not reported. It's hardly reported. We report all types of violence, but we don't report domestic violence. Why? Because it happens under the confines of the home. It is intimate partner violence. It happens under the roof. It happens behind the scenes, and so people don't see it even to shout out. And it is only you who is suffering from it that can report. If you don't report, people will not know. Or you who is observing it that can report. If you don't report, people will not know. And when you report, allow that you should be helped. Don't report and become that kind of person that Rachel said, that we are there, we report, people see visible signs like this, we keep hiding. We keep hiding and saying that no, we had an accident in the kitchen, because we don't want to spoil our family name. What family name is more than your life? We have to break the silence, Tasha. Thank you, my daughter. We have to break the silence. Break the silence. And we must break it by beginning to break it from our mentality. The notion of who we think a husband should be, and who we think a wife should be. Who do you think a wife should be? Who do you think a husband should be? What are their rules? Do we think that the wife should be a stooge, always say yes sir, and the husband should be a general who instructs everything at home? If you think like this, you have to start changing your mentality right now. Because if you think like this, then you are promoting domestic violence. If you think that a husband is the head of the family who should love his family, care for his family, correct his family with love and direct them towards the right path, then you are on a good path. You are thinking right. If you think that the wife should be a good mother and a loving wife, a partner to the husband, who should be able to discuss things with the husband, and they should be able to help each other to grow, then you are doing a good thing. My dear brothers and sisters, it's my time to go, but I want us to continue the discussion by using this comment box, sharing this video, using the comment box to keep commenting and sharing the video, because this topic, we just started it. We are going to continue with this topic in our next chat. Thank you. Thank you. Today we're talking about how it affects the children and how it affects the community. And then we were going to talk about how it affects you, whether you are the one who is perpetrating. How it affects the perpetrator too. We'll talk about it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tasha. Have a blessed day for everyone. A blessed night for those who are in the evening. A blessed morning for those who are just beginning their day. And remain blessed, but please keep the smiles. No matter what you're going through, keep the smiles. And don't forget to pray. Hold on to God's garment. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.